ArXiv's next chapter, updates on our spin-out from Cornell University. On July 1st, 2026, ArXiv will spin out from Cornell University, its home for the past 25 years, to become an independent nonprofit organization. With this next phase in ArXiv's journey quickly approaching, you can read more about ArXiv's history and the decision to spin out from Cornell University, and then they link to another article. ArXiv has been discussing the opportunity to become an independent organization for a long time, and we're excited for the new flexibility and opportunities this change will bring. This step is an important part of ArXiv's story that will have a positive impact as we continue to grow, and has required great effort from staff to transition smoothly. Thanks to this, in the coming months, ArXiv authors, readers, and the community that relies on us will not notice much change at all. ArXiv was built for scientists, by scientists, and while our home may be changing, our mission, vision, and values never will. ArXiv will remain committed to being free, blah, blah, blah. We really want to cut the meat of this because this is just PR speak here. ArXiv is also committed to transparency. We are a community resource, and we want to make sure that our community is aware of any changes to ArXiv that may affect them. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. ArXiv has created a page dedicated to frequently asked questions and information about the ArXiv's establishment as an independent organization. They link to an FAQ page, which they say will be updated promptly as new information is available. In addition to the FAQ page, ArXiv will be releasing a series of blogs to cover recent ArXiv milestones, new organizational updates, including introduction to ArXiv's new engineering director and dev team projects, ArXiv's 3 million submission milestone, recent changes to ArXiv policy practice around AI articles. Ooh, that'll be interesting to see. Not much substance here. This is mostly just PR speak. I wonder if this FAQ page has content in it yet. Why is ArXiv spinning out from Cornell University? The FAQ says in 1991, ArXiv was founded and was able to run with little human interference on a computer under a desk at ArXiv founder Paul Ginsberg's Los Alamos National Laboratory workstation. Back then, ArXiv received about 10 submissions a month. Nowadays, they receive that much per second, probably. Now, ArXiv receives an average of 24,000 new submissions every month. That few? I'm shocked. With recent months frequently topping out at over 30,000 new submissions. It now takes nearly 30 staff to make sure ArXiv's operations run smoothly. ArXiv's goal in becoming an independent organization is to become more sustainable in the face of explosive growth and more nimble in the face of a rapidly changing publishing landscape. As a repository hosting over 3 million articles, it no longer made sense to be hosted at a university. But why? It kind of makes the university look rather bad, because that's honestly not that many articles in the big scheme of things. Why is the university not able to handle that? Anyway, the FAQ continues saying, this spin-out will allow ArXiv to make technology changes and improvements more nimbly and fundraise more effectively. For example, funders from around the world may be more comfortable contributing to a standalone nonprofit rather than a U.S. university, especially as universities come under pressure. Maybe people are hesitant to donate to ArXiv when it's hosted at a university because they don't want half of their donations immediately going to some irrelevant administrators like the second dean of student parties or something, or the football coach or whatever. It could also be a cynical ploy to try and grab more money from investors just as a sort of private equity type of thing. Let's cross our fingers and hope that's not what's going on. Another question in the FAQ, what is changing with the move to a standalone organization? While ArXiv's mission remains the same, there will be some changes that are important to note. The official name of the new organization is ArXiv Inc. ArXiv Inc. has been established as a non-profit, non-stock Delaware corporation and has been granted tax-exempt status by the IRS. All nonprofits of this type must be incorporated, and therefore Inc. does not mean they're commercial. For the near term, ArXiv will continue to be headquartered on Cornell Tech's campus, and New York City-based ArXiv staff will continue to work out of Cornell Tech office space. ArXiv's business address will remain the same. What is the governance model for the new ArXiv organization? The new archive organization will be governed by a board of directors. As is standard in U.S. nonprofits organizations, the CEO will report to the board of directors, and the staff will report to the CEO. Under Delaware nonprofit law, Archive was legally established by two founding members, the Simons Foundation and Cornell University, who initiated the startup activity, including, among other things, appointing the initial board of directors, etc., etc. The Simons Foundation and Cornell will fulfill the role of member for up to 5 years. Designates of either may serve on the board of directors beyond that time. The full board of directors will consist of up to 12 members. Invitations to join the archive board have been enthusiastically received and accepted by a range of scientists and nonprofit executives from around the world. When Archive's full board of directors are officially seated, they'll be announced on the blog, updated on this FAQ page, and on info.archive.org, along with updated bylaws. Who is leading the new archive organization? As a part of Cornell University, Archive was stewarded by Greg Morris, the Jack and Rilla Nafsi Dean of Cornell Tech, and led by Ramin Zabi, Professor of Computer Science at Cornell Tech, in the role of Executive Director. The new archive organization will be led by a Chief Executive Officer, who will report to the Board of Directors. Ramin Zabi will serve as interim CEO in the short term and will help the incoming CEO transition into the new role. You can read more, etc., etc. Are there any other changes to Archive staff, advisors, or governance? We're thankful that Archive's incredibly dedicated staff are all a part of the new Archive organization, and we have recently made a new hire in tech leadership that will be announced here soon. We're pleased that our advisory councils, which include blah blah blah, will all remain in place and continue to represent blah blah blah. Here, this might have some meat and potatoes. Who is funding the new Archive organization? One of the reasons Archive made the decision to become an independent organization was so it could more easily pursue a diverse and sustainable funding model. While the new Archive can solicit funding more easily, we are still supported by many of the funders we've been grateful to rely on in the past. Simons Foundation International continue to generously support Archive, and Archive's membership program, which allows libraries, academic institutions, and research labs to financially support Archive, will continue to be an important part of Archive's funding. Archive hopes to expand its members, affiliate, and sponsor programs to support operations and to be representative of the many universities. Yet, no real substantial meat and potatoes here. It's mostly just PR speak. How does this change affect archive.org? In the near term, the transition to an organization will have little effect on the website. Readers and authors may see some changes to the website header and footer, but submitting and reading papers will be the same. There are several tech improvements that have been underway at Archive for years, and as we complete these projects, there may be visible changes. Those tech improvements, such as improved submission and migrating Archive entirely to the cloud, will be announced as they progress. Yeah, not a lot of substance here. I think it's a lot of the PR, political type talk. Let's see what the hackers are saying about this over at HackerNews. At the top level, M. Hodges says, I always struggle to figure out what role Archive should play in my information diet. On the one hand, I support open access research. On the other hand, peer review is vital, and a substantial quantity of papers on Archive are just blog posts in a LaTeX trench coat. Now, there is a common misconception. People think that Archive just blindly takes everything that's submitted to it, and that's not the case. Archive is moderated. It's not the same as peer review, but the papers are checked for basic quality. GSPR replies saying, one growing role, especially in mathematics, is that of a host for overlay journals. I really like the idea. In short, Archive, HAL, and similar sites host the papers without any peer review, short of perhaps stopping crank spam or access control. They're freely available to anyone. Authors then submit Archive IDs or similar to the reviewers of overlay journals, which then review and accept or not. The overlay journal accepts a paper by just adding it to its list of accepted archive identifiers, and that's that. This ensures accessibility for all, keeps peer review, yet takes a lot of the practical hurdles away from actually running a journal. A journal can now just be a group of people who give thumbs up or down to archive identifiers, and if that group's conclusion starts having weight in the community, then it's become an important journal. Maybe they give away their listing for free, maybe they charge to read the reviews. It's really up to them what business model, if any, will be. It's really nice. Yeah, archive overlay journals are refreshingly 21st century. You know, the journal systems date back to when we didn't have the internet or when the internet was very young, and you needed a publisher to actually physically print the papers and ship them out all over the world. And that's so outdated, and yet the journals haven't fundamentally updated from that model. And these overlay journals are such a step forward. The fact is, the value the journals provide today has nothing to do with printing or shipping physical papers. And entirely, it's all about curating and reviewing and editing the papers, and there's no need to deal with the distribution at all. That can all be outsourced to arXiv, which is what these overlay journals do. Another top level comment. JDW64 says, I'm always grateful to arXiv. It allows non-scientists like me to access high quality papers anytime. Thank you always. Yeah, often high quality papers which we as taxpayers paid for with our tax money. And it's terribly, terribly ironic that the journals then charge us an arm and a leg to read those papers which we funded with our taxpayer money. It's scandalous. Exterts replies saying, it's also valuable for scientists as it is often a director's cut version of the paper. Journal submissions are heavy edited and shortened to fit into the page limits. Little known fact about arXiv, a lot of people don't know this, but you can actually update a paper on the arXiv, and all of the versions are available. So if an author posts a version of their paper and then posts an update, you can actually see all the different versions on the arXiv. So it's the best of both worlds. I've heard people complaining that, oh, the arXiv's not trustworthy because the paper may have been edited after original submission based on the feedback from the reviewers. But that complaint makes no sense, because papers can be revised on the arXiv. If the reviewers make you change the paper, which they almost always do if your paper is accepted, you can update the version on the arXiv. Another high-level comment, RW2 says, should charge AI for training on top of it or get them to donate. A small amount can fund them easily. I'm not sure. Why is arXiv any different in this aspect than the rest of the world? Let's see what JL Siren says in reply to that suggestion about charging the AI companies to train on arXiv. He says, that would be a trap. It's healthier for a nonprofit to have many small funders than a few large ones. Oh, that's a very good point. If the arXiv started becoming dependent on the AI labs as a primary source of income, then that would create perverse incentives. For example, a paper submitted to the arXiv which is critical of the AI labs, there would be an incentive not to publish that paper on the arXiv. Very good catch from JL Tsirin. Nok Chuchu Kon agrees, saying, exactly. The only reason Mozilla exists today is as a legal shield against an anti-browser monopoly suit against Google. That's the product they sell, and Google is paying hundreds of millions per year for this valuable service. And arguably, it's not really a solution to the monopoly at all. Arguably, Firefox is handicapped by their perverse relationship with Google. Someone might suggest some breakthrough new technology for Firefox which would help it compete more with Google, and Google might be pulling the strings in the background because Google would not like that. And Google has that power because Firefox is primarily funded by Google. That's enough comments for now. Interesting. I hope that the changes to arXiv will not be negative going forward. I'm Dr. Samuel Allen Alexander, mathematician and philosopher. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.